women's rights? Why aren't they coming out for the women of Afghanistan? Why
Because
aren't
they're scared.
And because, therefore, anything that creates fascism, anything that can be used as a tool to subjugate people is okay with the left.
Well, I really believe that there is an unholy alliance between the folks on the liberal left, the progressives, and this radical Islamic infiltration, not just here in the United States, but you look across in Europe and you see what's happening in London, in France, in the Netherlands, in Denmark. You look at what's happening all across the Middle East, and of course the pressures that's being put on Israel, and all of that emanates from the left, coming down from President Obama. So there's an unholy alliance that is being created. And, Vladimir Lenin called people like that useful idiots. So they really think that you're going to allow this enemy to come in and they're not going to continue to try to usurp more and more of what your country is. We don't need to have dual operating systems, dual legal systems, Sharia law and our Constitution, which is what you see happening over in London right now. So I'm very concerned about the people on the left, whether or not they understand what it takes to protect the American people. And when I say that, I mean the fiscal security and the physical security of the American people, because they're failing in both parts.
Imam Roth, he is the fellow that is fronting this effort to build the mosque at Ground Zero.
Yeah.
He has said recently, and I'm quoting, and this is from Tim Sumner's fine work at 9/11familiesforamerica.org. Imam Roth says, most recently, anger has surfaced in Malaysia where 60% of the people are Malays. The High Court's ruling that Allah is not exclusive to Muslims led to firebombing of churches and protests among the Malays who fear Catholics are trying to manipulate the word, that means Islamic word, Quran, to win Malay converts. This should not be. Islam and Christianity are at their roots religions of peace and tolerance. A certain amount of competition will always exist among religions. Good competition is to compete in good works. Bad competition is trying to undermine the other faith. Blah, blah, blah. Get this.
Well,
my message to the Christian community in Malaysia is that the word Allah, to mean the Christian God, may be theologically and legally correct, but in the context of Malaysia, it is socially provocative. In other words, they deserved it.
Yeah. Well,
the people that were murdered, the Christians that were killed, and
yeah.
the boys.
Well, I got to tell you that there are Christians that are being slaughtered all over the world. You look at what's happening in Darfur. You look at what's happening in Nigeria. And, it's very simple. If you're a Christian and you don't want to be a Christian anymore, you decide that you want to convert to Islam and become a practicing Muslim, guess what? That's your freedom of choice. There's no big deal. But if you do that in the opposite direction, if you go from Islam to Christianity or you reject Islam, you're an apostate, and that's punishable by death. We ran into that with Abdul Rahman, who was originally from Afghanistan and a Muslim. He had left the country. He had gone, converted to Christianity, and came back working with the Christian Relief Agency, and his own family turned him in. And if he did not reject and Christianity and come back to Islam, he was going to be put to death. That was the decision. They ended up saying that he was mentally incompetent, and of course they got him out of the country, and he was resettled in Italy. But we've got to understand this 7th century ideology that we're up against. It has not reformed itself over time, and if it is going to coexist side by side in the 21st century with Western civilization, all I'm saying is that Islam has to undergo a reformation, just the same as Judaism did, just the same as Christianity did back in 1517 with the Protestant Reformation. So this is a challenge, and we need to have leadership, Pat, that can stand up and say those things and not be afraid, because you're historically accurate. You're not saying that you're an Islamophobe. You're challenging them in what they believe in and being consistent with the values and the principles that we have and the fundamentals that have made Western civilization what it is. Individual responsibility, accountability, individual rights and freedoms. And that's not what this religion, this masquerading as a political construct, stands for. The word Islam means submission. And
absolutely.
I think that's one.
Go ahead.
No, I think that's one of the key things. There's so many things that we in America have to come to understand, and I think it really does boil down to it's individual responsibility and accountability. It comes back to enforcing our borders, language, and culture, and it comes back to making a stand for who we are as Americans and our constitutional republic. You got to get leaders that are willing to make that stand, because right now we're just showing too much weakness to the rest of the world, especially to our enemies.
There are people that want to know why this is an important issue. They doubt that this is a big deal. The building of a mosque feet from ground zero. And I'm sure there are... I don't wish to keep you longer than I promised I would. But if you could not... I know I'm bad. But that seems to me a question that needs to be answered.
Well, I will tell you this very simply, and it is just the same as my mother raised me. She said that a man has to stand for something or else he'll fall for anything. And if we are not willing as a nation, if we do not have leaders that are willing to make a stand, then we're on a slippery slope. If we don't have leaders that will stand and say, we have a border, we have laws, they have to be respected, then we will become a lawless, borderless, and society that will be on its road to demise. And I think that's what this midterm election is all about. It really is about what do the American people want to have? I mean, what do the American people see as far as their constitutional republic, the United States of America? What do they want for the next 30, 40, 50 years? What is the legacy that they want to pass down to their children? And it's a very simple contrast that you have out there. You have this liberal, progressive ideology, or you have a conservative ideology, and I think that it's very important for the Republican Party to stop trying to be a lesser version of the Democrat Party or the liberal.
Democrat-like, yeah.
Democrats to stop being that and say, this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and stop trying to go and say, well, we got to be this to this community. We have to be that to this community. You just have to say, we stand for limited government. We stand for lower taxes. We stand for your individual responsibility and accountability. We stand for the security, your security as the American people. We stand for the free market principles, but with the right and proper oversight. We stand for our traditional values, and we stand for leadership that is based upon merit and talent, not leadership that's based upon entitlement. And it's principled leadership. And if we can continue to convey and hammer that message and couch all of the issues that we see right now into those principles, the American people will understand who you are as a party, and they will, come back to you. But if not, it's not going to happen. And I can tell you, in closing, what I see happening right now, people are not going and people are not donating to the party per se. People are looking at the individual candidates that they want to support. And, the most important thing, the strategic perspective we have to have, it takes 39 seats to be won away from the Democrats so that Nancy Pelosi does not have the gavel in her hands so that I can walk up, and I can get it from her, and I can hand it over to whoever the new Speaker of the House will be.
Can't wait. And we thank you so much for being here. And
thank you.
And one of my favorite topics is and most important topics is the Armenian genocide. And if people can see what might be in our future, if we let ourselves be pushed around by any kind of fascism, just look to 1915 and the Armenian genocide down the road.
Absolutely.
It can happen to us. And we thank you so much, sir, for being here. Folks, you can go to AlanWest.com, forcongress.com, and also go to Alan West Speaks, and you can hear his appearance on Quinn and Rose, which was so great they practically offered you a job.
Awesome.
We thank you so much for being here. We're going to talk further about this issue, sir, and I will be seeing you soon in Florida.
Absolutely. And you take care, Pat.
Keep your radar.